Major international buyers are now rejecting shipments of United States wheat, a move that is sending shockwaves through the global agricultural community. For decades, American wheat has been a staple on dinner tables around the world, trusted for its quality and reliability. But today, the tides are turning, and the world is watching as a new chapter unfolds in the story of international grain trade. This disruption is not just a blip in the market, it's the unraveling of a trade relationship that has fed billions and shaped economies for generations. The United States, once the undisputed leader in wheat exports, is now facing a reality where its shipments are no longer guaranteed a welcome at foreign ports. Cargo ships that once sailed confidently into harbors across the globe are now being turned away, sometimes after long and costly journeys. The sight of empty ships departing, their holds still full of unsold grain, is becoming an all-too-common occurrence. This shift is more than a logistical challenge. It's a signal of a profound realignment in global trade. Long-held assumptions about who feeds the world are being questioned, and the established order is being upended as new players emerge. For American farmers, the impact is deeply personal. This is more than a few canceled orders. It's a seismic shift with far-reaching consequences for their livelihoods, their communities, and the future of American agriculture. Many are left wondering what will become of their harvests and how they will adapt to a world where their wheat is no longer in high demand. The U.S. has long been a dominant wheat supplier, its grain a symbol of abundance and security. But this wave of rejection signals a deeper transformation in the global food system, one that could redefine the role of American farmers for years to come. International buyers, empowered by new options and shifting market dynamics, are now exercising their power to choose. Their decisions are reshaping the agricultural landscape, creating both daunting challenges and unexpected opportunities for producers and exporters around the world. Into this void steps Canada, a nation with vast prairies, a reputation for reliability, and a growing presence on the world stage. As international buyers seek stable and trustworthy sources, Canadian wheat is quickly becoming the grain of choice for many. The stage is set for a new era in the global grain trade. With Canada poised to take the lead, the flow of one of the world's most essential commodities is being redrawn, ushering in a future where the balance of power and the fate of farmers everywhere hangs in the balance. The catalyst for this disruption is China's record-breaking 2024 grain harvest, a season that has exceeded all expectations and set new benchmarks for agricultural output in the country. Across the northern plains and central farmlands, millions of acres of wheat, corn, and rice have been reaped in a display of efficiency and scale rarely seen before. This unprecedented yield has filled domestic silos to capacity, with storage facilities overflowing and new grain bins being constructed to handle the surplus. As a result, China's need for imported grain has plummeted, dramatically reducing the volume of shipments arriving from overseas suppliers. The roots of this transformation lie in China's relentless push for food self-sufficiency. Years of government policy, heavy investment in agricultural technology, and support for rural innovation have paid off handsomely. Farmers now operate state-of-the-art machinery, and research into high-yield crop varieties has boosted productivity to new heights. With inventories at record highs, China's grain imports dropped by over 50% in early 2025, a dramatic collapse that sent shockwaves through global commodity markets. Shipping docks that once bustled with incoming grain now stand quiet, and cargo ships leave port empty-handed. This surplus, quickly dubbed the Great Wall of Wheat, has effectively blocked new imports, leaving exporters scrambling to find alternative buyers. Mountains of unsold grain now sit in warehouses and at export terminals, waiting for new destinations. The shift isn't a short-term blip, it's the result of a deliberate long-term strategy. China's focus on reducing its dependence on foreign grain is now deeply embedded in national policy, with ongoing investments in research, infrastructure, and rural development. For U.S. wheat farmers and exporters, the days of massive Chinese purchases are over for now. The ripple effects are being felt across the American heartland, where silos are fuller and prices are under pressure. The global market must now adapt to a world where its largest customer has lost its appetite, forcing a complete reevaluation of trade flows, pricing strategies, and the future of international grain commerce. China's reduced imports don't fully explain why U.S. wheat is being hit hardest. The story goes beyond simple numbers and trade statistics. It's about shifting global relationships, evolving market dynamics, and a growing sense of uncertainty that's rippling through the agricultural world. Trade tensions, tariffs, and unpredictable U.S. policies have made American grain a riskier bet for Chinese buyers. Over the past few years, diplomatic disputes and retaliatory tariffs have created a climate of mistrust. Even when prices are competitive, buyers hesitate, worried that sudden policy changes could disrupt shipments or add unexpected costs. China is diversifying its suppliers, turning to countries like Canada and South America to avoid over-reliance on the U.S. These nations are eager to step in, offering stable trade relationships and often more flexible terms. For China, spreading its purchases across multiple countries is a way to safeguard its food security and reduce exposure to political risk. Phytosanitary concerns, sometimes genuine, sometimes political, are increasingly cited as reasons for rejecting U.S. shipments. Issues like pests, contaminants, or paperwork errors can be grounds for refusal, but sometimes these concerns are used as leverage in broader trade negotiations. Technical standards are stricter, and any deviation can mean rejection. Even minor discrepancies in moisture content, grain size, or labeling can result in entire shipments being turned away. This puts enormous pressure on U.S. exporters to meet every requirement, no matter how small. For U.S. exporters, meeting every specification is now critical. They must invest more in quality control, documentation, and compliance, all while facing shrinking margins and stiffer competition from abroad. The real issue isn't grain quality, but the perceived reliability of the U.S. as a supplier. Buyers are wary of sudden disruptions, whether from trade disputes, regulatory changes, or logistical bottlenecks. In this high-stakes environment, buyers crave certainty and are turning to nations that offer stability. Countries with consistent policies and fewer diplomatic surprises are quickly becoming preferred partners in the global grain trade. The U.S. is now seen as a less predictable partner, prompting a global pivot to more reliable sources. As trade routes shift and new alliances form, American wheat faces an uphill battle to regain its place at the center of the world's grain markets. As U.S. wheat faces rejection, Canada is emerging as the new supplier of choice for global buyers. Canada's stable political environment and consistent trade policies make it a safe harbor in turbulent times. Canadian farmers and grain companies have built a reputation for dependability and quality. This trust is now Canada's greatest asset, drawing in buyers seeking stability. The surge in demand is energizing the Canadian agricultural sector, from the prairies to the ports. Canada is seizing this moment, promoting its wheat's quality and reliability on the world stage. Buyers switching to Canadian wheat today may become loyal customers for decades. This could mark a historic turning point, cementing Canada's role as a global agricultural leader. Canada's appeal isn't just about politics, it's about the grain itself. Canadian wheat, especially high-protein hard-red spring wheat, is prized by millers and bakers worldwide for its quality. The cold, dry prairies give Canada a natural edge in producing premium wheat. The Canadian Grain Commission's rigorous grading system ensures buyers get exactly what they expect, shipment after shipment. This consistency builds deep trust and minimizes risk for importers. Canada's efficient logistics, from inland elevators to modern ports, ensure timely, reliable delivery. The combination of quality, transparency, and reliability makes Canadian wheat a top choice in a world wary of supply disruptions. Canada's holistic approach, from seed to shipment, has put it in a leading position in global agriculture. The rejection of U.S. wheat is sending shockwaves through the American heartland, where farming is a way of life. Surplus wheat is flooding the domestic market, driving prices down and squeezing farm profits. Farmers face tough choices: store grain at a cost, sell at a loss, or switch crops, each with its own risks. The crisis ripples through rural economies, hurting equipment dealers, suppliers, and small-town businesses. The psychological toll is real. Farmers feel helpless as global forces undermine their livelihoods. This erosion of confidence threatens the next generation's willingness to farm. The downturn could reshape planting decisions, creating new imbalances in other commodity markets. The future of American agriculture is now uncertain as the global market moves on. The wheat market's turmoil is rooted in shifting trade winds and political tides. U.S. trade policies, tariffs, and disputes have made the country a less reliable partner. China's diversification strategy is a direct response, building ties with Brazil for soybeans and Canada for wheat. Even new U.S. trade deals like with Vietnam can't offset the loss of the Chinese market. Brazil's massive soybean crop adds to global surpluses, intensifying competition and keeping prices low. The U.S. seeks leverage through trade, but farmers need open, predictable markets. Objectives now in conflict. The lesson in agriculture, trust and reliability win out over short-term political maneuvering. The rejection of U.S. wheat has triggered a domino effect across global trade. Surplus wheat means lower prices worldwide, creating instability for farmers everywhere. Shipping routes are disrupted, with less grain moving from U.S. ports and more demand on Canadian infrastructure. The Baltic Panamax Index has dropped, reflecting reduced cargo volumes and impacting shipping jobs. Importers are scrambling to reroute supply chains, testing Canada's capacity and creating short-term bottlenecks. The upheaval is prompting countries to diversify suppliers and invest in more resilient food systems. This shift could reshape global food production and trade for years to come. The dominoes are still falling and the full impact is yet to be seen. For most people, global grain trading feels distant, but its effects will reach your shopping basket. Initially, surplus wheat may lower prices for bread, pasta, and other staples. But these savings may be short-lived, as supply chain disruptions and new costs offset lower grain prices. Food manufacturers might absorb savings, so consumers may not see much change. The bigger risk is price volatility. If farmers cut wheat production, future shortages could drive prices up sharply. Instability makes budgeting harder, especially for families on tight incomes. This global shift highlights how interconnected our food system is, and how political and economic decisions ripple down to the grocery store. The underlying changes are profound, reminding us of the fragility and importance of stable, trustworthy supply chains.